All right, guys. So Marco Rubio gave a speech at Munich, the Munich conference the other day. And it was, to put it simply, an absolute horror show. They're now saying things out loud that used to be like the left would criticize them and say, you believe X, Y, and Z, and they go, no, we don't. Now they're just saying, yes, we do believe those things, actually. And we're going to argue for them openly. And so let me give you a little bit of a breakdown here as Ben Norton points out. This is insane. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio just gave one of the most explicitly pro-colonialist speeches I have seen in the 21st century. The U.S. empire wants Europe to help it recolonize the global South. Rubio praised Western colonialists settling new continents, building vast empires, and extending out across the globe. Then Rubio complained about the global South's decolonization, portraying it as a sinister communist plot. Rubio lamented, quote, the great Western empires had entered into terminal decline, accelerated by godless communist revolutions and by anti-colonial uprisings that would transform the world and drape the red hammer and sickle across vast swaths of the map in the years to come. So he is literally lamenting anti-colonial uprisings. I thought everybody agreed imperialism is bad, colonialism is bad. Like, this is not, it's not good. Nope, all of a sudden, it comes roaring back. And he's actively making an argument for Western empire. Rubio delivered this speech at the Munich Security Conference surrounded by European leaders who gave him a standing ovation. More on that in a minute. I'll show it to you guys. They loved the pro-colonialist diatribe. The U.S. Secretary of State insisted that North American and European imperialists should unite in order to reverse the West's managed decline, to revive the West's age of dominance, to renew the greatest civilization in human history. So a few things about this. First of all, Marco Rubio saying, Europe, will you come along with us in being imperialist and colonialist? It's literally just playing them for fools, because I don't know if you saw this. It was only about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that Donald Trump couldn't get through a fucking sentence without saying, we're going to take Greenland. That's what we're going to steal Greenland. We're going to own Greenland. We're going to take all of their natural resources. We're going to invade them. We're going to take it. We're going to steal it. That's what we're going to do. And so that Europe then was like, okay, what the fuck? No, we're not supposed to be the target of this. It's the brown people. Go to do it to the brown people. Don't do it to us. This is what Europe was saying. Well, now Rubio goes there and gives him a little pat on the head and says, okay, buddy, you want to do evil stuff with us? Yes, Papa, I'd like to do evil stuff with us. So already playing them for fools right off the jump, right? But the other thing is, it's so ironic for Rubio to say that the West was in a managed decline, but we're not interested in doing a managed decline anymore. We're going to return to the days of dominance. No, you fucking idiot. Exactly the shit that you and Trump do is what's leading to the decline. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. The decline has been sped up colossally. Why? Because you decided, fuck the international law and the rules-based order, whatever goofy terminology they use for it. We're throwing that out. Now we get to do what we want, and you get to shut the fuck up and take it. It's law of the jungle in this bitch. It is might makes right in this bitch. And so when you do that, and then you bomb Nigeria, and you bomb Somalia, and you bomb Iran, and you let the genocide happen in Gaza, and you are threatening to steal Greenland, and you're threatening to bomb Mexico, and you're threatening to steal Panama, and you just did regime change in Venezuela, and like clearly you're completely and utterly fucking unhinged. The world goes, okay, this is not stable. This is not a stable situation. We can't trust these people. They go back on their word all the time. When you do the trade war and fucking slap tariffs on all your allies sort of start to go, hey, fuck you too. And now we're going to look to China to be a more stable trading partner. Okay? So they are the ones who are leading to the downfall of the country, leading to our alienation and isolation from the rest of the world, leading to massive spikes in hatred against this country, as he ironically says that, no, we're not going to do a managed decline, we're going to bring back dominance. No, you're not. You're just speeding up the decline, and you're too fucking stupid to realize it. And of course, the funniest part of it all is like, hey, bitch boy, your last name is Rubio. You're Cuban, motherfucker. This is like Nick Fuentes thinking he's on the team. Your last name is fucking Fuentes. You're not on the team. These like, it's that meme that you see on Twitter of like a Hispanic guy wearing a MAGA hat and talking to a Hispanic guy who looks exactly the same, not wearing a MAGA hat, and the one with the MAGA hat goes, we don't want your kind in this country. Like, you're not on the team. You're not on the team. Rubio's Cuban. Fucking Fuentes is Mexican. And there's this like pro-white supremacy, pro-imperialist, pro-colonialist ideology that comes from them. It is the most embarrassing pick-me bullshit I've ever seen in my life. So Norton says, this is a blatant call by the U.S. empire to resuscitate Western colonialism and recognize the global South, which represents and recolonize the global South, which represents the global majority. What the U.S. empire did to Gaza, Venezuela, and currently Cuba is what it wants to do to the entire global South. So that's another important point to make, is that when it comes to Cuba, what they're doing right now is just completely and utterly starving Cuba. Like, what they're doing now is just cutting off Cuba from getting any oil whatsoever, which is trying to collapse the Cuban economy. It is starving innocent people to death. It is destroying their ability to live. And then they're going to use that to try to collapse the government and put a U.S. puppet in there to serve the parasite, pedophile, rapist, billionaire class. That's what it is. They want to steal the natural resources from there as well. They want Cuba to become the playground of the billionaire elites again, as it was in the past before the revolution. That's what they want to do. And so it's hilarious because they talk about, like, we're going to bring them freedom. Bring them freedom how? Starving them to death? Killing them all? Like, it is literally the opposite of freedom. Spare me your fucking bullshit, sanctimonious, high values, highfalutin speech, when obviously this is just a raw power grab. That's what it is. Norton says, some people are surprised that Marco Rubio gave such an explicitly pro-colonialist speech, given his family is technically of Cuban descent. However, Rubio made it clear he does not identify as Cuban. He identifies as a U.S. American of European descent. In the same speech, he praised the European colonialists who ethnically cleansed the Native Americans and founded the U.S., and he stressed, we will always be a child of Europe. Rubio then proudly traced his ancestry back to Italy, Piedmont, and Sardinia in Spain. Rubio does not identify with Cuba, Latin America, and the Caribbean. He identifies with Western colonialists. And Rubio emphasized that he, in his capacity as the chief of the U.S., the U.S. empire's foreign policy, wants to revive Western colonialism. Okay. The Department of State posted this. This is from Marco Rubio's speech, okay? Quote, we do not want allies to be shackled by guilt and shame. We want allies who are proud of their culture and their heritage, who understand that we are heirs to the same great and noble civilization, and who together with us are willing and able to defend it. So understand something, guys. I would say this is a dog whistle, but it's not a dog whistle. It's a fucking foghorn. This shit is straight out of the white nationalist, white supremacist playbook. Oh, our culture. We need to defend our culture and our noble civilization. Okay? We don't want their culture and their heritage, their icky culture and icky heritage. So as this person points out here, not the best quote to highlight, it comes from far-right German AfD party and is call for Germany to forget its guilt and shame about Nazism. But guess what, guys? That is like exactly what Marco Rubio connects to. Is it really that much different to say, hey, I don't want you to have guilt and shame over the Native American genocide. I don't want you to have guilt and shame over slavery. I don't want you to have guilt and shame over Jim Crow and over redlining. I don't want you to have guilt and shame over the U.S. literally creating banana republics by overthrowing South American governments so that we can steal bananas for our banana corporation here, Chiquita, I believe it was. Like, no, it's the same thing. And in fact, it's the ideology being implemented today. It's the same ideology that says, we're going to steal all of Venezuela's oil. They stole Venezuelan oil and put it in a private bank account for Trump in like Qatar, Dubai or some shit. And it's just sitting there like $200, $300 million in oil that he fucking stole. I mean, this is like, that is so much of a caricature that, like, if I told you even 3 years ago that would happen, you'd be like, come on, that's a little ridiculous. That's what they're doing. It's mask off, y'all. It's mask off. As I said, it's not a dog whistle, it's a foghorn. And then there's also this, ready? So at the end of this speech, and you can go watch the whole speech. You know, I watched the whole thing and it was very disturbing. But at the end of it all, where the through line is what? I'm pro-imperialism. I'm pro-colonialism. We're not playing nice anymore. Fuck international law. It's might makes right. We have the biggest guns. We're the most powerful. They will submit to us. And that's the end of the conversation. So none of the rules-based international order talk, none of the talk of international law, none of the talk of cooperation or even democracy. No, it's just like, we're the best. They suck. We're superior. They're inferior. Western civilization is glorious. And so we have basically the right to manifest destiny and westward expansion, except this time it's like southward expansion. That's what they're reviving, the old school brutal imperialist colonialist mindset. That's what they're doing. There's no more couching it. There's no more tweaks around the edges. There's no more softening it. There's no talk of like, you know, everybody's equal here. It is just dominance. It's dominance. It's power. It's control. It's fascism. And here's the reaction in the room. Remember, Europe, the same place that was just cucked by Trump as he was yelling about how I'm going to steal Greenland and take all their natural resources because the billionaires want it. It's going to become our playground. These people were just being threatened not that long ago. And here's their reaction to the pro-fascist, pro-colonialist, pro-imperialist speech. Look at this. Okay, now I need to be clear about something here. You cannot defeat this with limp dick liberal interventionism, okay? You cannot defeat this with the idea that, oh, the U.S. has the right to be the global policeman, but we just need to do it nicer. No. The only way to defeat this is with a robust and clear argument of we need to actually give a shit about international law and mutual cooperation and the United Nations and the thoughts of all the various countries around the world. We need to reassert that these principles and these values and these laws that laid out actually fucking matter, that we're actually going to enforce the Geneva Convention and the Nuremberg Tribunal, that we actually give a shit, that we'll hold Netanyahu accountable. That motherfucker should be in prison, okay? Donald Trump needs to be in prison also, by the way. But the only way to defeat this is with like an actual full-throated defense of non-interventionism. A full-throated defense of, you know what, there is no room in 2026 for barbarian, Neanderthal, primitive tactics of might makes right and law of the jungle. Because guess what, y'all? There will come a time where we're not the biggest, baddest dude on the block, and we don't have the most powerful military, and we don't have the biggest guns. And when that day comes, then people will realize that, hey, maybe the international law actually mattered. Maybe we actually should have abided by it. And unfortunately, these guys are such idiot cowboys, they literally can't even foresee a world where we're not the most powerful, even though, you know, empires throughout history always rise and fall. But they can't foresee it. In the same way that they can't foresee that the world is now going to dump the dollar and, you know, leave us with a fucking hyperinflation crisis because we have like $38 trillion in debt. That doesn't matter now, but as soon as the dollar is no longer the world reserve currency, then it certainly fucking matters. Okay? So they don't realize this. They don't have any long-term thinking. They don't have any actual strategic thinking. And so here we are, still dealing with like a 1700s and 1800s style childish mindset. And now you have Europe on board supporting it, no problem whatsoever. I mean, this is really low and really bad and really, really fucking disturbing. So my advice to any Democrat out there who wants to run in 2028 for president, you can't meet this halfway, right? In the same way you can't split the difference with MAGA and do bipartisanship and compromise and negotiate with MAGA. Like, these people are gone. They're fascists, they're imperialists, they're colonialists, they're psychopaths. It's literally a death cult. This is death cult foreign policy is what this is. And so you need a full fucking break with it. A full fucking break. You need an anti-imperialist foreign policy. It needs to be loud and proud and anti-imperialist. And as far as they've shifted the Overton window to the right, you got to shift that bitch way back to the fucking left. Okay? So do not negotiate with this. Do not compromise with this. Don't give me any liberal interventionist bullshit. This has to be like the number one thing you should be talking about is justice, in the sense that Marco Rubio should be in prison, Donald Trump should be in prison, Netanyahu should be in prison, anybody who is casually, Pete Hegseth should be in prison, you know. And by the way, here's what happens with this mindset. So as he's given that speech, this same shit was happening. The United States murdered 3 more people in the Caribbean, bringing the total number of murders to 133. This should not go unnoticed because it's become so common for the U.S. to murder people at sea. So, and this is the problem, right? Is like, people have gotten used to it. They have gotten accustomed to it. Now it's just like another day that ends in Y, that, oh, we murdered more innocent fishermen on the seas. And by the way, even if they weren't innocent fishermen, which they usually are, but even if they're not, you can't just blow up somebody who's drug smuggling. That's like a low-level crime where you fucking seize the drugs and then you give them a day in court. But no, they're literally just murdering people casually. This is against U.S. law. This is against international law. This is against the U.S. Constitution. This is completely and utterly fucking unhinged. And that's what Marco Rubio's mindset leads to. Marco Rubio's mindset leads to, we're right, you're wrong. We're good, you're bad. We do what we want. You can fucking deal with it and take it. And that, okay, I know it sounds hyperbolic, but it's true. That is just a Nazi mindset. That's all that is. That is just a Nazi mindset. We don't care about rules. We don't care about laws. We don't care about reciprocity. We don't care about equality. We don't care about justice. It's just, we do what we want, you deal with the fallout, and you can shut the fuck up and take it. And what an amazing time to make an argument for that when we have the literal Mad King is running the world right now. And they go, yeah, let's give that guy total impunity to do whatever the fuck he wants. Trump literally said, the only thing that's reeling me in is my own morality, he said. In other words, no law applies to me. No law applies to me, is what he said. And the fucking idiot Europeans, the vassal states, are sitting there, oh yeah, isn't that great? Imperialism good, colonialism good. This revival of these barbarian values, this will go down in the history books as, one of the most evil eras in modern history. There's no doubt about that.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.